Hi guys, welcome back to Modifix. My name's Dan, and today, you guessed it, or did you? We are modding. Okay guys, so as promised, it's time to modify the front seats now. Let me just pull them out first. So it looks like there's 14 there. I'll have a cover on top like this. You just got to pull that cover off, and then it will probably have a 14 here as well. I need to pull this cover off, but can't do that just by bare hands, so I just got to figure out how that comes off. Actually, a bit of brute force, and that's off as well. So there's a 14 there, and then at the front you're going to have 14 there and a 14 there, and then there's bound to be some wiring underneath for the airbag or the seatbelt retention or whatever else. So let's undo all those 14s and see what it reveals. It helps if you have an extension on your drill or a wrench, whatever you're using. That's all the bolts done. Very nice and easy and quick. Okay, so as you can see underneath, and as promised, there's some wiring. So there's a airbag plug, so just pull that out. If you do pull that out, do not switch on the ignition, because then you'll get an airbag light and it will never go away. So before you switch the ignition back on, just make sure that this is connected, regardless if it's on these seats or other seats. Alright, these plugs, you just pull that back like that. It sort of springs back, and then you pull that off, and that's it, done. And then there's a little clippy, pull that little clippy out, and job's done. Seats ready to come out. Okay, whilst the seats are out, time to do a bit of hoovering again. It's not too bad in here actually, but usually you'll probably find some crud under your seat, so always a good idea to hoover whilst they're out. So I'm going to do that now. Alright guys, the secret is out. I'm going to fit, or at least try to fit, some Celica seats in the Corolla. I think they'll look nice and they'll match the new leather rears. So the big challenge is these rails. So these rails from there, that hole to that hole, seems like it's the same distance as these two. So what I'm going to try and do is straighten these feet out and see where they sit. Alright guys, so I've straightened the feet out a little bit, as you can see, with a handy old pair of mole grips, vice grips, whatever you want to call them. So they're roughly at the same angle as these now, but I foresee an issue of this peg here. So this peg is centered to that hole at the moment on the Corolla seats, and on here it's offset to the left and offset to the right on this one. So we might be close, but the pegs are going to stop us getting in, I think. The other thing is that I personally think I'm going to have to end up grinding these feet off totally, and then taking these feet off these seats, and then just welding them in on the Celica seats in the appropriate place. So I think that is going to be the end result, but let's try a few alternative solutions for now and see if we can get away with it. Alright, so as I suspected, these holes do line up, but the pegs are no good. The hole for the peg isn't in the right place, so I can either drill those out or just cut the pegs off. I don't think the pegs are absolutely necessary, so I might just cut them off, and then that's the front done. And then for the back, you're out of line by that much for this hole, for which I could build a bracket which bolts into that hole and then lines up to this one. Or if I could get that to line up somehow, maybe cut that off and weld it up here, or build a bracket that goes from there to there, nut and bolt on this side, bolt on this side, that could work. And then, okay, and then on this side, it's a bit dark now, hold on. Okay, on this side, we need some sort of spacer, and it doesn't actually line up. So what I might do is elongate this hole and then get like some sort of metal tube or rod and then put a bolt through it, and that's done. So actually now it's looking kind of simple. I don't think I have to cut anything really apart from those two prongs on the front. So we could try that and see how we get on. So I think I need tube. I'll have to measure that up and see if I can get the right size tube to go from there to there, and obviously elongate that hole. Alright guys, I decided that before I fit these lovely Celica seats, I am going to give them a quick clean. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use this steam cleaner here. I'm going to tie a microfiber cloth around that and then give them a blast with that all the way over. And then once that's done, then I'll give them a bit of a clean with the good old intensive cleaner from Gliptone, and then I will do a round of conditioner with Gliptone. So here's your before. And let me get down to doing some cleaning and I'll show you the after. This is a during shot, so I've steamed this, feels a little bit softer already. And then what I did was I applied some Gliptone leather cleaner. You're supposed to leave that for 5 minutes and then wipe it off with a damp cloth, so I'll do that in a minute. The top bit here has only been steamed so far, so I'm going to apply some Gliptone leather cleaner, do that, leave it on, wipe it off with a damp cloth. And then I will put the conditioner on and I'll show you when it's all done. Okay, this now is after a wipe down with a damp cloth after the Gliptone leather cleaner. Alright guys, and this is the final article with the Gliptone leather conditioner applied. I think it looks pretty good. It's just restored some of the luster and the shine in the leather. Alright, seats back in the car. Quick thing to note is that there's normally a spring on the passenger side Celica seat, which goes from there to another tab at the back. And what that does is it pulls the seat forward when you move the seat basically. And on the Corolla, I don't think it's really required personally, so I'm going to decommission it. Because it's annoying because it actually resets your seat every time you let someone in the back as well. So I'm going to get rid of that. As you can see, I've already removed the spring. And then you got this issue here, so you can either cut that tab off or remove this little protective box. And what I've learnt is that protective box actually protects the yaw sensor. Let's see how much clearance we have once I remove that box and take it from there. Otherwise I might just bend that one way or another. I might just bend it anyway. Yeah, I might do that anyway, but let's see. Okay, I've actually decided to bend that out of the way. It's just a lot easier. And I don't want to remove any protection unless it's fouling underneath. We'll check that in a minute, but that's been better out of the way. The other thing I've decided is these little prongies. What I'm going to do is I'm going to position these holes again, buzz them in, and then see where that wants to land, and then maybe just drill a hole in that little box there. I don't think it's going to have any major effect on it. If I do drill holes, I'll drill them and then just rust proof them and we should be alright. So let's do that. Okay, on second thoughts, it appears that that whole thing is making contact, so I'm going to have to get rid of the metal box and see what happens after that. Okay, and with that we've got plenty of clearance now. There's I don't know if you can see from this angle, that's the yaw sensor there, and now you can see it's probably about 3 to 5 mil clearance between the bracket and that. And the seat will obviously come up from the back yet, so that's not the final place where it's going to be sitting. Also, I need to reposition that, so let me get the bolts roughly in place at the front and then we'll tackle the back, I think. Both front feet are in the hole, and then here at the back I've got a bit of bar, 5-6 mil that is. That should be ample, and I'm just going to bolt it into that hole there and nut and bolt on this side. That should hold it nice and steady. And then here on the back, that's where the biggest problem is. This is pretty much, I'd say half an inch off. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to get the file out. I'm going to start going towards, go that way and see where we get to. Actually, hold on, I've just had a thought. Alright guys, slight change of plan, but I think it's for the better. That is in the hole. So what I've done is I've actually moved the rail forward, just that side, and got that in the hole. So that's good. And then, if we look at the front foot now, I think it'd be easier to hone that out. It's not actually that far off, if you look at it. Yeah, so I'd rather elongate this one than the back one. So I'm going to do that. And still drill the hole for the pegs, so that'll be solid. That'll give it a lot more rigidity. But I need to work out the spacing for the back. So I've got a whole bunch of spacers there, as you can see. And I just need to check how much spacing I need. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to just measure from here to the sill and from here to the sill. And my suspicion is that once these two line up, that'll be about straight. But let me do some measuring and I'll get back to you. Alright, so now that is straight. So 7.5 centimeters from the rail to this sill, looking straight down at it. That's straight now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make up this bracket, secure that so it's absolutely straight, and then we can work out how big a spacer and how long a bolt we need for the other side, and then rock and roll. Alright guys, this seat is actually firmly in the hole now. Bolted that down. I might tidy that bracket up a little bit later with the angle grinder. And then at the front, let me show what I've done. So this one has gone in the hole as is, and I drilled out a hole for the peg. And then this one here has actually been moved a little bit forward, and I've ovulated that hole, or ovulated, not ovulated. I've ovulated that hole, made it oval, and put the bolt straight through, and that's worked a treat. As you can see here, I've put a longer bolt in, 50 mil now, that bolt. Actually looking at that, I think it needs a washer, so I'll put a washer on it. And here we've got a spacer. So that is 25 mil spacer, that is, with it's an M10 25 mil spacer, and that fits the hole perfectly. What I'm going to actually do is weld that spacer to the seat at some point, but for now I've got a very high tensile, I think it's 9.6 grade high tensile bolt. Just need to put a washer on there, but that's it. But yeah, so that's done now. So there's a little bracket on this side, there's a spacer on that side, and the feet on this side are pretty much factory, so it's great. The seat itself is a little bit lower, so it's good to be mindful of the fact that you are going to sit lower in the car. If you're already sitting quite low and you can't see out the windscreen nice, then I wouldn't recommend this mod really. Now let's do the driver's side and I'll show you in detail what I did on that side. The weather's just been horrible, so I haven't had a chance to actually show anything in detail. I did this side yesterday, I finished it off, and it just kept threatening to rain. Same as today really. Alright guys, so I'm just going to buzz this seat out. Same principle as the other one. 2 front, 2 back, same places. Just pushes backwards and it pops off. And then that's it. Oh yeah, and there's this clip that clips in. You just need to yank that out. Alright, and that's the seat out. I'm just going to mock fit the driver's seat now and see where it wants to land. Hopefully it'll be exactly the same process as the other side. Alright guys, it's pretty much the same affair here. The front feet line up with the holes, but that one's going to have to be offset so that I can get the rear one to line up. That one lines up alright, but I'm going to have to drill for the peg. I'll show you that in a minute. And then here I'm just going to get a bit of flat bar again and bolt into these 2 holes, and that'll be solid. So I'm going to do that bit first, so we've got a bit of stability on this side, and then I'll show you the other side. Okay, so I've just bolted that bit of plate in place and punched out the centre. I'm going to drill that out and that'll be ready to bolt in. Okay, and that's bolted up now. Both holes being drilled out. Now I'm just going to lop that bit off there, and that's that done. Okay, and that is all nicely cut now, so that's all done. Alright, so once you've got this side bolted up and it's firm in the hole, then what you got to do is line up that rail at the back. I'll show you now, hold on. Right, so what you want to do is line up this rail here with the hole, and then you want to put the spacer in behind, bolt through. This is a high tensile 10.9 strength bolt, 50 mil, and that's a 1 inch or 25 mil spacer that will go behind, and then this will go through. So you want to line that up first, yeah? Alright, that's the rear bolted up now, so we can line this up and just make sure that we cut out enough. So we're going to overlay this hole now. I'm just going to drill another hole next to it and then sort of merge it into one, but as you can see it's not a million miles off. And that's one hole successfully overlaid. Yeah, so what you got to do is you got to tighten this bolt really hard until that pin presses down, and then get something on it like a punch and give it a good old bop with a hammer. So you're actually marking out where you're going to drill your hole for the peg to go in, and the same on this side, and then drill your holes, and then once you've done that, bolt it all back together and we're done. Okay, so as you can see here now, see where the carpet's ripped a little bit, that's where the new hole wants to go. And then on this other side, you see the indent in the carpet there. I can't point at the same time, but I think you can see. So that's where the hole's going to go for that side. And that's it really. And just like that, my new peg holes have been drilled out. That's about an M6 size hole, I think, or M8. And the same on the other side. Time for the seat to go back in for the final time. Woo! What do you think, guys? I think the seats look bloody marvellous. I'm quite chuffed with this mod. Everything fits, everything looks as it should. I mean, I don't think I told you, but I picked these seats up for £10. They were in a bit of a state. Some of the plastic covers were missing. The bases had been unbolted from the frame, and one airbag was missing. I think I paid more for the airbag than for the actual seats in total. The rails had been messed about with, the bolts had gone missing, the wires had been cut for the airbag and for the sensor that senses your bum sitting on the seat. Not that my Corolla has them, weirdly. That's actually a good question for you guys. Do any of you lot know, does the seat pad have a sensor in it to know if you're sitting in it, so the beeper can go off if you're not wearing a seatbelt? Mine doesn't have those wires at all, weirdly. So I don't know if that's weird or if it's just a thing. Let me know down in the comments below. For the money, I mean, it probably cost me about 50 quid all in with all the hardware and everything, and the airbag and whatever else. As you would have seen, I did a leather repair on these seats. If you haven't seen that video, click on the link wherever it appears or down below or whatever, and you can see how I did that. But yeah, overall great result. The only thing I would say is, I might have mentioned it before, if you struggle to see out of the windscreen in a stock seat, then I don't know if I'd recommend this mod, because it does take you about an inch or two lower than you normally would be. I mean, I'm 5'8" and it's all right for me. I actually prefer this, so do keep that in mind before you do this mod. The other thing I would say is that obviously I'm not a professional and I haven't crash tested the car or anything like that, so you do it at your own risk. If you want to do it by all means, but make sure you use the right hardware, make sure you do it properly, don't bodge it. What else? So the only other thing I need to do now is, let me show you. I need to change that armrest cover. I think that's horrible, and as you could probably see, there's stains on it and stuff. I'd like to change that for a nice leather one if I can find one, so I shall look out for one of those. By the time I actually release this video, I might have already done it. So and then, you know, I'd like to do something with these baggy inserts. I don't know if I'm going to recover them in cloth or just glue them down nice. As you may have seen, I also have a cover here now, and I have a new gear knob. Well, new to me gear knob. That was courtesy of SJ Autosport. That's Jam. SJ Autosport is a good guy. He actually gave me that. And as you well know, I've replaced the steering wheel, stereo controls, the whole lot. That stereo control, I actually moved it. I used to have it down here and it just came in the way all the time. And with this being here as well, not ideal. No, actually I had it on that side and yeah, it just wasn't ideal. It was in the way constantly. So changed that, put it up here and it's great now. With lockdown and everything, I obviously haven't been driving the car as much as I probably normally would. So I haven't played with that as much as I should have really. So I will do a review on that at some point and let you know how that's going. And with that guys, it's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you took something away from it. I can see Celica seats selling out hard and fast now. The other thing I was going to say was the leather on these seats is a little bit slippery. So if you use your car spiritedly, then maybe consider the ones with Alcantara inserts in the middles or cloth. But what you got to bear in mind is the Alcantara insert ones are quite expensive. I think they come on the Celica GT. Can't remember exactly, but yeah, quite a special edition, those seats. Anyway, that's a wrap guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like the video if you liked it. And subscribe to my channel for more juicy content on the Corolla, the MR2 and the 200SX. And maybe the 370 as well. Bye for now.